Yes, so welcome to our first Yes Bébé interview chat.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yes, we've got Frances Stickley from the books, and also from Babel. But I've got my Love Is Always. I couldn't find my others. Hey, have you got a new one?
I'm glad of it. So I got a sneaky little look from the lovely guys at Walker's.
So I guess the first thing to do is ask you, what do you like best about Yes Bébé?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. You're signed up to your book service. I really like your book group and how carefully considered all the books are. They're beautiful, and the amount of passion and love that goes into that. And I think that kind of marks you, one of the things that marks you out against any of the competition. And all the toys. I've been a big fan of all the toys for such a long time. But you do the extras as well, like is it Derevko, Elephant the Dreamer? You stock that kind of stuff as well. So some of the rarer, the more beautiful rarities and trinkets, your many trinkets.
Yeah, blood, sweat and tears it is. Book club is a bit blood, sweat and tears.
Yeah.
I do absolutely agonise over choosing the books each month.
It takes a lot longer than you would think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing range as well, though, haven't you? Yeah, you can tell.
We're starting to try and get a lot more kind of smaller publishers on board as well. So that we can kind of maybe select books that might not be so kind of run of the mill and that everyone just kind of finds as soon as you walk into a bookshop. Sort of thing.
And there's some of them are amazing, aren't they, that are coming out of the small presses and the indie presses. So it's such a shame not to. Yeah, there's a whole world out there that just isn't really represented beyond the 5 names you might already know, really. So yeah, it's lovely.
I think one of the things that I love about your books is the rhyming through it, and I think that's a really kind of great way that kind of children really enjoy books, is that kind of flow through it. And I just wonder what made you decide that you wanted to write in that style?
I'm embarrassingly bad at writing in prose. I've tried to picture books in prose, and I don't have anything unique to give in that respect, it would seem, at all. So I've written 90 picture books, and every single one of them is in rhyme. And I enjoy it more. It's like, obviously you shouldn't rhyme books for the sake of rhyming. Every line still has to push the story forward, but that rhyme can sometimes take you in a slightly different direction. So I can end up with a story that's completely different to the one I set out to write. And I like that. So it's probably, you're right, I do think children really benefit from the rhythm of rhyme, and there's so much, but it's also really selfishly for me, and the fact that I can't do it. So, yeah, first time they anticipate rhyme as well, it's really exciting, isn't it? And you know that there's a lot of skill, there's a big skill set there underlying it all, isn't it, for children, I think. So that's yeah, it's lovely. It's definitely my favourite format, and I think the kids too. Yeah.
I think lots of kind of, I know like the 3 books that I've got up there, they've all got kind of something really for children's minds to think about. So I love kind of the fact that What Will You Dream Of Tonight, you very much kind of, it's that openness of it, of actually really it's just your imagination can take you kind of anywhere, and then the Love You Always is about, it's kind of great to be you and being kind of loved for being you. And then I know with the new one, which is incredible, is all about kind of sharing and friendship, and I suppose what was the driving force behind deciding that you always wanted to have that sort of kind of slant on kind of children's kind of mental kind of well-being sort of thing?
Yeah, it's a good question. It wasn't a conscious thing until I started to think about it myself, that you're right, and they go for those kind of hooks. I have written stories that are different, but they're not as strong. So these tend to be the hooks. Maybe being a reception teacher for such a long time and then having the kids, I think you perhaps get used to using books in a didactic way, you know, to teach children something, even when you're not really trying to do that. So that's probably come through in the writing.
Yeah. I found that when I first started reading to Alfie, this was a really long time ago, I went straight into chapter books. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like 18, 19, and I was just like, right, well, I enjoy these books. Surely, this 3-year-old will enjoy them too.
Break out
And I
the
was just
Stephen
like,
King novels.
it was Harry Potter or like Roald Dahl and things like that, because I was just like, I'll do it because you can read a chapter at a time, but it just doesn't work like that. And then when you introduce actual children's books and you start, it's sometimes just finding the right place for them. And I think, the length of your books, the rhyme, the illustrations with them, everything is just so perfect and they'll last for ages. I mean, you get some children, 10, 11, absolutely adore things like that.
Oh, Sophie just loves children. Like, she loves books that are way younger for her. She really loves it. They're going to last for ages in this house. I've got no rush to read longer books because it's longer at bedtime. Definitely. Well, I mean, before we get carried away, are you going to tell us about the new book? Lisa, maybe just now show us the... I guess we can't expose too much of it, but
it'll be all right, I think.
I think inside.
Mouse is at the moment.
I can't believe you've got the book. I'm so jealous.
I've only got one book. I'm not sure where mine are.
The page you would like me to turn to?
Show us the middle.
Can you show us the close-up of Bear? Big close-up of Bear. I love this bear. Look at any face, any bear face.
I love Mouse. It's adorable.
When I first saw the roughs for this book, I was so excited. I've had that bear on my bedroom wall for 2 years. Look at Bear.
So tell us about the story.
So the story is the story of a mouse, a very hungry mouse who goes hunting for apples and discovers 4, but also discovers a big bad greedy bear at the same time who wants to take all the apples for himself. And it's a trickster story, so it's about I like to write about little underdog heroes when I'm writing narratives. So she's a feisty little clever mouse, and she has to come up with a plan to get all the apples back and get away safely. And she comes up with a really strange plan.
It does sound like it might be a bit funny then.
Maybe, yeah. Not funny, but yeah.
Nice to get you a little bit of comedy in there.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell us a bit more about your background? Did you always want to be a writer? I mean, obviously you're a teacher, but did you always want to be a writer as well?
I did always want to be a writer. I remember saying it from about the age of 6, and I wrote my first rhyming story when I was 6, and it won some. Sorry?
Do you still have it?
It was called My Dad's Milkfloat Stuck in the Snow, and I can remember some couplets of it, but I can't actually know. It won the competition, and we never did. But I remember writing it, and I remember being excited. Yeah, I was always going to be a poet, and I was going to marry a poet, and I had it all kind of plotted out from the age of 6. And then I went and studied literature and philosophy, and wrote through University for Children, and then changed it to picture books when I had my first daughter, and then wrote a book in 2016 and sent that off to Nosy Crow, to Kate Wilson at Nosy Crow, just before they closed their unsolicited submissions window, and got really lucky to be picked up by her from the slush pile. So then once I'd had 2 books with Nosy Crow, I went and got an agent and sold some more books. So I've been really lucky, like really lucky.
Yeah.
It's
deserved. I mean, they're great books.
Thank you.
Great books. I mean, they've been flying out. They're very popular. People really like the books.
They're designed beautifully as well. Nosy Crow get really involved with kind of the design and choose wonderful illustrators. And so, yeah, I can't really take much credit for how beautiful they've turned out to be at all.
Do they help you find the illustrators then?
They always, yeah, that's all them. I don't really do that bit, which is good because I have a very limited pool of, they always match me with brilliant people. So that's, I don't really know about that side of things.
The books end up turning out, so once you've kind of got the illustrations in, do you then kind of look at the book and think,
yes, that is how I kind of imagined it in my head, or does it actually end up kind of taking you to a kind of really different place and you kind of think, oh, that wasn't what I thought, but it's great, but it wasn't quite what I'd imagined?
Never what I thought, but it's always so much better. So much. Yeah.
If you could jump into any children's book that you liked and could be one of the characters, what book would it be and which character?
I want to live in Moomin Valley. I've always wanted to live in Valley.
And I come
Yeah. And I think I'd be Snuffkins, and I can go home and do Christmas with the kids and then just come back in spring and everyone would be really pleased to see me. They're so pleased to see him all the time. I'd be Snuffkin. Snuffkin's a real adventure. And my daughter wants to be Snuffkin too. She lives her life a bit like Snuffkin. So, yeah, I've always wanted to live in Moomin Valley. Always.
I wondered which other authors that you really kind of like. I know there's lots of new authors kind of coming out at the moment. Like you say, it's really tricky to kind of get started in the world of books as well. Is there anybody who we should be really kind of looking out for, or people that you really love?
I like Lucy Fleming. She generally does illustration, but I think she's got I think it might be her first authored book coming out soon. It looks beautiful. And so I tend to think quite a lot about illustrators, authors. So Lucy Lipinski, I did my teacher training with her. She's just written The Strange Worlds Travel Agency. That's had quite a lot of hype, and it's in our bedroom. We haven't read it yet, but it looks really exciting.
Well, how about illustrators as well then?
Yeah, sorry, I think way too much about illustration. Tim Hopgood, I love Tim Hopgood's work in the end. And I love when I write, I just think about Bryony May Smith all the time. I'd love to work with Bryony May Smith. I think she's incredible.
We'll leave it in, and then hopefully she'll see it, and then
yeah, Bryony May Smith. I think she's probably really busy. And Victoria Turnbull, she writes and she illustrates. I don't know if you've seen any of her books. She wrote Pandora and another one about a giant, and beautiful illustrations and beautiful writing. She's amazing. And I don't read many chapter books, I must admit. My daughter loves Sophie Anderson, so we've been reading The Girl Who Speaks Bear and The House with Chicken Legs.
Yeah, The Girl Who Speaks Bear is a fantastic book, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't mind reading that one out loud at all. It's really, she's lovely, really good. And it's all children's books. I don't really read adults' books.
No, I don't.
Adult books.
Children's books are just so much better.
I do. I like them better. It's about my level. So thank you for coming, and thanks everyone for watching our first interview with the stars.
Read this one.
Buy the book. It'll be ready, available. Well, actually, when we broadcast this, I guess it will be available. Probably aim to put it out at the same time we release. So yes, get shopping. The link will appear magically, I think. So yes, well, you can definitely purchase the other books, which if you haven't already, I'm sure most of you have. So yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. Thanks everybody.
Bye.
Bye.